Hello and welcome to All For United WFC. Hello and welcome to All For United with me, John Foster, MUFC. On Monday night we had Mia on the show. Tonight we've got Amanda on the show. Really looking forward to this one. We're going to be talking about the chances of Blackstenius not only coming to the WSL but also Man United and what her other possibilities really are. There's going to be people in the comments. There's going to be learning tonight. I'm going to be learning. Nat's going to be learning. We're really excited about this one. First of all, Natalie, how are you? How's your week been?
Good, I'm good. Busy week. It's coming to the end. It's getting closer to match day. I'm excited.
Massive. Only 2.5 days to go now before Chelsea. Yeah. Massive game. Maybe we can give our predictions at the end of that game if we remember or get our chance to do that. But yeah, really looking forward to that one. And you've been to a couple of games this week as well, haven't you, for Man United? If you want to quickly just...
Yeah, I went to the development team, under 21s. Obviously, I went to the men's game. We don't have to touch on that, but I went to the development team under 21s yesterday. Really good. Lots of new kids coming through, playing, getting the minutes in. Karna Solskjaer, I know we're talking about Scandinavian. So Karna Solskjaer, 2 goals, very good goals. Clinical finishes. So. It's good to see. I'm happy. The under 21s are just ticking along nicely.
I'm just going to mention this comment on screen and then we'll come back to it. But yeah, Stuart, first of all, thanks for tuning in. Absolutely. She's got off to a great start. We're even debating putting her in the starting 11 already. And, I think a lot of fans would like that age-to-age striker. Skinner made that substitution in the Leicester game. She came on, she scored. She's just what we needed in that game. And, hello to Connor in the comments as well. Amanda, let's introduce you properly. First of all, what is it that you do for a living? Just tell us a little bit about who you work for and what your hobbies are, what your interests are.
For sure. I'm a sports journalist for the Swedish equivalent to BBC Sports called SVT Sports. And I also have a podcast called Their Pitch together with Mia, who I understood as a frequent visitor over here.
Yeah.
So definitely. I hang out a lot I talk a lot to her and we talk football. That's my main thing that I do with journalism. I don't want to do anything else. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I've been told as well, Reds, it's going to be a good one. Their pitch, get involved, listen to it. We're going to enjoy it.
It's going to be a lot of interesting names. Yeah, for sure.
Karen's in the comments already. Hello, Karen. Looking forward to seeing you on Sunday. Vicky, Connor, the same. So yeah, just please be mindful that Amanda does have to be a little bit careful what she has to say, but anything she can say, she will say. So let's get straight onto it then. So Blackstenius, obviously, very well known in women's football. If you're new to women's football, like a few people in the comments are, then obviously you may not have heard of her playing outside of England. But Amanda, do you just want to kind of give your opinion on what kind of striker Blackstenius is? What your thoughts are of her?
So I think she's a pretty good all-around striker. She's everywhere and nowhere. So she runs for the balls and she has a good understanding of the football game. And I think that's what really separates her from what makes her a world-class player and a good player. So that separates her and makes her a really good player. And I think a lot of people kind of got their eyes opened up a little bit after these Olympics where she was obviously scored a lot of goals for Sweden and a big part of them getting the silver medal. So I think for those who don't know her, there's a lot in store and she's a very interesting player that you should really keep your eye out for. But yeah, I don't know what else to say, but she's a great player all around, really.
I think that's what attracted a lot of United fans. A lot of United fans are like me and John. We only just started watching it when Man United team, and there are other fans that have been watching for a long time and probably know about her and know about her time in France. But myself, John, I'm sure a few people in the comments, what am I saying? They just start watching. And when you have World Cups, when you have Olympics, when you have Euros, that's when a lot of eyes are on it. And like you said, she scored a lot of goals. Can't remember the exact amount, but it made a lot of United fans sit up. Listen, I mean, I know Stu just said then about Martha Thomas, and she is doing well for Man United, but that number 9 is an area, I think, for us where we feel, we've had Jess Six, who scored a lot of goals. We had Lauren James. She obviously was sort of playing as a 9, kind of in that role in the second year. Then obviously we had Kristen Press, Tobin Heath. So we want someone who's on that level, I suppose, that big name. And, I can see Vicky already saying she's the clinical striker. But, what would you see as her best position then?
Good question.
I mean, you want her in front of the goal. That's where you want her. You don't want her on the flanks. You don't want her neither left or right side. You want her to be in the box and to just finish it off, That's where she's the strongest. She's quite a physical player. So you need her to be there in the middle of it all, fighting with the rest of, the opponents. So I think that's what she did. She does well, but you also got to keep in mind that Blackstenius comes from a really strong season this season. I think it's probably one of her best yet ever. So you have to also keep in mind that she's not a very consistent player, but she is very good when she is good. So that's what you got to keep in the back of your mind, that if she's confident and she plays in an environment where she's comfortable, then she's going to thrive. But if she's not in that kind of mindset or that environment, then she's not going to do as well. But she's very clinical in the box.
So let's talk a little bit about that. I think from what I've read, she's scored 22 goals in 69 games for her club. I can't remember how many she scored for the country. But how do you think she'd set up coming over to a different country? Because we've seen other players do really well. We've seen other players not do so well. So just because she's a fantastic striker, it doesn't mean that she'll come to the WSL and settle. But what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's definitely going to be a challenge for her, knowing her history playing overseas. I don't know if a lot of you guys know about it, but she played for League One. She played for Montpellier and came back home, played for Gothenburg. She wasn't really, she wasn't really in it there. I think her mindset, and she said it herself, I think, in some interviews, that she's right where she needs to be right now with her headspace. So I feel like she could do really good overseas, but I think she needs to be comfortable in that environment and that she wants to be there, So
Can I just ask a question? And people have hinted it. I don't know if I'm allowed to say who said it, but with a Swedish player. So there are a lot of Swedish players now in the northwest of England. There's I forget the girl's name who went to City, but obviously there's 3 at Everton. Do you think she would want to go to, say, like Everton, where they've got loads of Swedish players and she knows a lot of people? Or would she go to, like, Man City, where she does know? But I know that she's played with Boarisa. So what would you think? Like, would she be more better with, like, loads of people around her that she knows, or just 1 or 2?
It's difficult, really. I can't really... It's a difficult question, to kind of predict where she wants to go or where she's going to end up. But I think in the back of your mind, wherever you go, you want to know people. I mean, for me as a journalist or as a person, whenever I go somewhere, or if I'm going to stay there for a longer time, I would probably choose a place where I know people. So I think that would, as a football player, I think you want the best environment, whether it comes to coaches or players around you or people that you know. So she could end up anywhere, really. I don't think she's going to go back to the French league, considering her history. But, I mean, the English league is really what I think the Swedish players are really interested in right now. So I feel like that could be, obviously the English league is up there, and she said it before that it's interesting. But whether she might end up with, a London team or up northwest, wherever, it's really hard to pinpoint, really. Because you have people from Damallsvenskan all around your league now, all around the WSL. So she might know familiar faces everywhere.
Go on, John.
I was just going to say, what we'll do is that we'll talk about each club and like the possibility of a going there because of the players that she may know, but also the game time. So we'll start off at United. So the chances are, if she's on form, she's going to play. Or would she? I mean, am I kind of overhyping her because Russo? We've been talking about Alessia Russo being our main striker, and I know that you need more than one fantastic striker. I understand that, but Amanda, do you think she'd come straight in as our main focal point, our number 9, or do you think she'd have to wait a turn?
I think when she's seen, I think if she's seen the Everton players, Natalie, Hannah, Anna, she's seen all of them come in and they're taking a starting spot almost immediately. I think knowing their history and knowing her history with football and how great she is, I think she wants to come to a team where she can fight for that starting spot and play,
Mm.
So I feel like that's where she ends up. I'm very general right now. I'm sorry, but like I feel like that's where she's gonna end up, somewhere where she knows she can get playing time.
Oh, for
and
me,
fight for the starting spot.
That looks at just. I know that's going to sound a bit big-headed of me, but United need a striker. I know, like we said, Martha Thomas, Alessia. Do you think Champions League will have an impact? So, Arsenal might go further in it, so that you might look at that. But then they obviously have Miedemar, Tobin Heath. City obviously got knocked out of the Champions League, but obviously they have Bunny Shaw, Ellen White. So she's not exactly going to, she wouldn't want to come over and just sit on the bench. But do you think she would Champions League will be a deal breaker for her?
I think it's an interesting question. I think coming into play for, the Olympics was, a huge scene for them to play, and she performed so well. I think the best for her performance, I feel like the best time to have gone to another club would have been this transfer window, probably, considering how valuable she would be. But I also feel like the Champions League, if she does really well, then she's going to have a lot of clubs fighting for her. They're going to be fighting for her either way, but depending on how she performs for such a small team as BK Häcken, I think it's going to be interesting to see what she can do on the big scene with Champions League, and that's probably going to affect the people that are going to reach out to her, or the teams that are going to reach out to her next transfer window, the January window.
Ian's made a good point in the comments about out of all the top teams, she's more likely to get some game time with us, and we are quite out for a striker more than any of the top 4 teams, plus Everton as well, because Everton's being hyped up at the moment as well. So we can discuss Everton throughout the show as well. But yeah, I agree with that. If you're talking about game time, then surely Man United's got to be up there as one of the number 1 priorities. Obviously, we know that she'd like to be around Swedish players, but we've got 2 Norwegian players. Do you think that would have a kind of bearing on her coming to United with Balrisa and Maria Thorstottir?
For sure. She's played with Balrisa before, so I think that might affect her depending on how close they got or if they're friends or not. That's definitely going to be interesting to see if she chooses Manchester United, or any other team for that matter. So definitely, I think it has an impact. When you know people, you're going to want to go there. And if they can talk good about the club and if she's going to get playing time, I think that might play a big part in her decision in the future.
Sounds good to me, John. Another option I just want to throw in, and I know that they've got a striker, but I do hear that they're always looking to add more, and they have a Swedish player, Real Madrid. Do you think she would go Spanish league, or do you think it looks good for the WSL?
It's interesting because when you talk about the La Liga Femenine, you look at Barcelona, and that's the team up there. You don't really look at Real Madrid or Atletico or any other team. So definitely,
we'll talk about Lotte shortly. Yeah,
talk about it shortly. Yeah. So you look at those teams, but I think she wants to go to a world-class team that's going to fight for a Champions League spot or even a title. Coming. I don't see any other team in the Spanish league that she would be interested in, except for Barcelona, really.
Okay.
And they have some pretty good strikers, so.
Yeah. And they've just signed Roloff. I'm not sure if that's how I say her name right, but she's just gone there. I'm sure she's speaking highly about it. It might be someone because I know they got Jenny, but and they got Graham Hansen, but. Well, no, they do have quite a few, actually. I just was listening and then I thought, no, they've got, they've started listening. But no, I get what you're saying about, they want to win a title. But Real Madrid, they are a good side. They finished second. They could win a Spanish Cup. Yes, they're not likely to win the the league. But then you could say Man United aren't likely to win the league. Man United aren't even in the Champions League. And there's that, it's a tighter fight if she went to like Man United or Everton over, say, the established top three. So then she's looking at Chelsea, Arsenal, and City if she's going to win a title or whatever, and definitely get in the Champions League. So do you think she would? That's why I said is Champions League a deal breaker, because, well, I suppose it depends where every team is in January as well.
For sure. I think it's definitely going to be something that she takes into consideration. I don't think it's necessarily a deal breaker, but considering she's getting a little taste of it now, I think she's not going to want to go out of it. She's going to want to continue doing that. But then again, I think playing time is what she wants, and probably what she needs the most right now, too.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of that comment on screen just before we talk about Lotta and how she's doing? About Vivian Miedemar going to Lyon. Now that rumour's been knocking around for quite a while now. She's obviously stayed, but can you see Vivian kind of going to Lyon at any point?
I mean, I've seen that rumor too before. She seems pretty content. She seems pretty happy, right? In Arsenal, scoring 100 goals in I don't know how many games. So she's doing pretty well over there. I don't know what Lyon has to offer. Oh, she's definitely not going to try the NWSL. I can almost write that in stone right now.
I think with the Lyon, what they'd have more chance of winning titles maybe than, say, an Arsenal. I think that's the thing with it. But Arsenal look good at the minute. Maybe if they win the league, then do Arsenal want to wait that long to find out if she's going to sign a contract? But it looks like no matter what, she'll either go for free or sign a contract. So they're sort of in a position already.
I mean, they're right. They're building an awesome team. They've won every single game, right? Or am I mistaken?
Yeah.
So far, they've won. They have 3 wins, as well as United and Chelsea, right?
Yeah. So is it 2?
It's 2 out of 2, I think, so far.
2 out of 2. Okay. Yeah. So
but they beat Chelsea.
Yes, so they're doing good. They have a great team, and I think Jonah's coming in really from building. I mean, he knows what it takes to win. He's a great coach, so I think that's what I think she could stay, and they could build on something. They have a good foundation to start building on, so they just need to keep going, and I think they'll be fine. Hopefully she stays. I mean, I think as a player, you want to stay at a club and you want to do well with that club. You want to start building something from scratch, as well as, I mean, Ronaldo returning to Manchester United. I think that says something about like how you feel, about the club that's helped you get to where you are, kind of.
Yeah, that's understandable. We'll speak about Lotta. Lotta was in the comments, and whenever we think of Sweden as a United fan, we can't not think of Lotta. She didn't get a load of game time for us, and she unfortunately left without the fans giving her a send-off because Corona was going on at the time, and obviously still is, but not as bad as it was when she left. But this is a bit of a serious question. Do you genuinely and honestly think that maybe Lotta would say good things about United? Now, I know that she'd say good things about Jackie and she had some good relationships, but Lotta's time at United was quite small. We kind of expected her to come in. She wore the number 3 shirt. Alex Greenwood left, who did have the number 3 shirt. There was a lot of pressure on Lotta, wasn't there, in that first and second season? She didn't have the most amazing season, unfortunately. Maybe she would have if she had stayed. But do you honestly think that maybe she would say some good stuff about United, or are we just a bit brainwashed and maybe she would say, yeah, maybe, but there are also negatives as well?
I remember there was an interview that Lotta did, and it was saying about how they treated the same as the men and how the fans, and her first game was at the Etihad and there's 35,000 fans and they were all red, and she said it how it is. But then she said about like the time in LSV, and she said it's good, LSV is nice and the facilities are good, but the gym was small, and then obviously it's come out about what's happened. I think maybe, I wouldn't want to say this, but she might not say positive things about Casey. She didn't get a lot of time. Maybe she would have wanted more minutes, and that you would hold on the coach. So maybe she would say Casey was a bit hard, Casey was too much, but Casey's not the coach now. Casey's gone. Mark Skinner's there, so I mean, she might listen to what Lotta says about how they treat them, what's this like, what's Manchester like, what the fans like, what happens. Look at me, I'm sitting in a Lotta shirt. I love Lotta. You know, when Man United fans think of Swedish, we love Lotta. I remember she made a debut for Sweden and everyone was on the timeline. Send me a link, send me a link, send me a VPN. Oh, Lotta's made a debut and they're all tweeting about it. And I think that's what she's saying, your life. And a lot of people say it when they come. They don't expect it to be as big as what it is. And then even Lucy Staniforth played at a lot of big clubs. She said, I come to United and next minute everyone's in my DMs. Oh, this and that. Lucy, everywhere I go. So Lotta would be probably the same. Like, you'll come and you'll get a wave of people just Man United, and they'll still, and I think even Lotta, she did a live and she was still talking and people were like, we love you in Manchester. And she was like, I love Man United too, you know? Yeah. So I think she would say positive things. Amanda might know different because obviously I don't know how she's doing in Sweden. I know obviously she's in the same team. I'm hearing a lot she's starting. I hear she was at centre-back, you know, and I'm hopeful that, and I don't know if she will, but hopefully maybe break into the Euros team, come over to England and see her then. Amanda, what do you think? Is she doing well, Lotta?
I think she's doing decent. I just want to address something really quickly that I just saw that's hilarious that I just came thinking about is that Jon tweeted something. He tweeted Lotta. And I was like, I didn't read the rest. I just read her name and I'm like, oh, Lotta Schelin, you know? So that's the first one that comes to my mind. It's a whole nother Lotta when you speak about her. So I haven't really, I mean, so here's the thing. She's a good back. She gets the job done, you know? She does what she's supposed to do. But then again, I think there's so many. I understand how you feel about her, considering she belonged to your club. There's so many other players because I don't feel that connection to her as you guys might do. There's a lot of other players that are on that left side, you know, position and that are doing really well. She's doing really good too. She's an overall really good player, you know. You just got to follow that. And hopefully she's doing really good with the Damallsvenskan, and you could possibly see her in another league. But I think right now she's pretty happy being back in Sweden.
Yeah. I just want to talk, I suppose, and it links back to the Lotta thing. And you know, some people, and I talked to you about it before, Amanda. Some people say, oh, you know, they don't want to take that risk. Swedish league, it's not, say, like you say, the Spanish, it's not Barcelona, it's not German league and whatever, this and that and the other, and they might not want to take that risk. And like you said about Blackstenius, you've got to have her and she's confident and scoring a lot of goals. And obviously Lotta came over, it didn't work out, we still have a lot of love for her. But then like Asllani, she went to City, that didn't really work out, and now she's smashing it at Real Madrid. So it's like she's a good player, you can see she's a quality player, she's smashed it for Sweden. But then there's still some people that'll say, well, look at that too. Example, why do we want another Swedish player? It doesn't really work out. What would you say to that kind of opinion or viewpoint?
I think as a player, you need a good start in order to be confident at your new club and fight for a starting spot or fight for, you know, being a valuable player, a key player for your team. You have to get a good start. Otherwise, you can't build on that momentum. And when you don't get a good start, you're not going to get your confidence. So I don't think it necessarily has to do with Swedish players. I mean, Kristen Press and Tobin Heath, they didn't play much, did they? Alex Morgan didn't play much. Abby Dahlkemper left early. Rose Lavelle was injured the whole time. You know, you're looking at that. There's a lot of things that come in between, and those are some world-class players. So, exactly. I'm completely with Vicky right here. She says Swedish players are quality, just need to manage how they settle in. So I think that really she has a point.
Listen, I'm not saying that they're not. I don't want anyone to think that I'm not, but I'm just giving that alternative viewpoint.
Yeah. No, I'm just building on it, saying that there's, you know, I think you have to settle in really good. You have to come in well in the group. You have to do well from the start. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to build on it.
There is one other Swedish player at Man United we haven't mentioned. He's on the men's team, Lindelof. Do you reckon that would have any bearing with the fact that it's still part of the same club? We've seen, I think, was it Anna when she first came? Was it Mata or De Gea or someone kind of tweeted out something like welcome or something? And do you reckon there would be any kind of communication there that would help if there's no other Swedish player at United? reckon the club may even ask Lindelof to maybe speak to her, or I don't know if it works like this, but is that kind of what you would expect to happen, Amanda?
Wow. Difficult question.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would expect so. If I was the owner of the club or the manager of the club, I
Yeah.
would. If I was the men's coach, Ollie, I would say, look, say hello to her, show her the city and everything, and try and take her under your wing a little bit as well. But I don't know how the mix or what, but that's something I would look at.
Yeah, I probably want to do that as well, but it's hard to know like how they're thinking and what they're thinking about. Lindelof is a class player, but he's not getting much playing time right now. So he's really competing for that center back position, and he's having a hard time. So it kind of on the same thing. Sorry, we're bringing up men's football over here, but on the same thing, it kind of makes you wonder how long is he going to stay in the club?
Yeah.
Is he going to be there for another? Like, is he going to go until his contract goes out, or are they going to sell him the next transfer window? You never know. So I don't think that he has much.
Okay.
I don't think he can do much about Stina maybe coming to you guys, or maybe not.
Yeah. Just something I thought I'd throw in there because no one's really mentioned it, so I just thought I'd bring it up. Yeah. Let's talk about some other teams then that she could potentially go to, and we're hoping not, but we've touched on Arsenal, so let's continue with that one. So I've got some written down. Obviously, the head coach is Swedish. So how much of a bearing could you see in an electoral head coach being Swedish? Is that a bit of a deal breaker, so to speak?
I think he's probably going to have a lot easier to get her situated and get her to settle in, considering he knows. I mean, he coached the rival team, the biggest rivals. They're fighting for the number one spot, the title, and I think he knows her in and out. He's analyzed her a million times, and if he can use that to his advantage, I think, and he can present it in a well way to her, then I think that would be an option.
Can you see that, Amanda? Do you think, like you say, isn't it? They're trying to build, they're trying to do this. It's talk that Tobin is going to be there, but how long? So they might say, like, listen, you're gonna play, you're gonna be the girl. Yeah, we have a lot of options now, but when Tobin goes back to the America, boom, there's your place. Can you see her going to? I know we will touch on it, but like, do you see that as a big potential? Maybe Arsenal.
Definitely, I can see her going to any top team in England. And Arsenal's up there; they're fighting for it. And it really depends on I think it all depends on the conversation she has with different teams, if she's gonna end up there or not. But for me, I feel like she could go there. I mean, I would love to see her play with Tobin Heath up top. I feel like that would be a good combination, as well as seeing her play with Vip. But it's not really realistic right now, is it? I think probably in the future, yes. But right now, that option, I can't see her going there right now. If she were to go tomorrow, she would not go to Arsenal because it's too much.
Sorry, I was just going to ask how about if she goes in January though. It's not going to happen now. Obviously, it'll be in January. So I understand what you're saying, but I'm just thinking long term. I think she'd settle in really well at United, but Natalie did make a good point. Tobin Heath won't be there forever.
Yeah.
And there are like rumours about Miedemar going and won't be with Arsenal forever. Could Arsenal bring Blackstenius in for maybe a season, not play her as much as maybe she'd like to be played. However, settle her in for a season and then kind of take over from Miedemar potentially.
Yeah, I feel like that would be good for her. I feel like Arsenal's definitely an option if that happens.
Yeah. Disappointing news for me. I'm just I don't want it to happen, but I'm just trying to see from Arsenal's point of view. Yeah. David's in the comments. Hello, David, Chelsea fan. So we'll talk about Chelsea shortly. There are a couple of other Scandinavian players, Amanda, in Arsenal. I don't know if you just want to kind of give your opinions on them or your thoughts on them because you've probably seen them more than I have. Defender and midfielder. Is it Frida and Sorensen? Is that how you pronounce the names? I'm sorry, I'm not 100% sure what you pronounce.
I know Frida Monum. Yeah, I'm with her. And then the center back, not really fully aware. I have a billion games to watch when I'm working. to write about. So I don't
Understood.
really watch all of them 100%, but Frida's really good. I feel like she has a place in the starting 11, and she's really situated in. And it's interesting to see Scandinavian players in the league, really. So
Mm,
I feel like Scandinavian players really have a similar playing style. So that's also why I would see her fitting in there with
okay.
some Scandinavians. They know, kind of speak the same language, not really, but you understand each other and you go on for it. So I feel like, yeah, the players are good. Or Frida's really good. She was really good in the Damallsvenska, and she's doing good with Arsenal too. So it's exciting to see.
Yeah. It is, and like you were saying, Natalie, in defence of some Swedish players and Scandinavian players, the WSL, I'm not saying it's the best league in the world, but it's up there. You know, me and Amanda were speaking before the show started about how high profile their league is and how well publicised it is. These top players are still coming over, aren't they? So, you know, and the top clubs want them to come over. So, you know, just to kind of back up your point there, Nat, you know, some of these players, okay, some of them don't settle, but there's still a lot of quality players who are coming over and doing very well for themselves, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. I think I call it like our little duo, you know, Norway FC. I love it. I love to see, you know, I think there's an affinity, say, with Man United and Scandinavia, whether it's fans, players, you know, that kind of love is there. And I think that's why everyone talks a lot to so much. Everyone's taken to Bo Risa. It's I don't know. It's sort of like I say, Scandinavia and Man United. For me, it goes hand in hand, and that's why I think now there's this big wave for Blackstenius to come to Man United because like I say, is that affinity. I don't know other places in the world. Do you feel that, Amanda? Do you feel like Man United is, you know, the big team in Scandinavia? Everyone supports Man United, whether it's Norway, Sweden. You know, Man United is a team.
I can't say anything about that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's because Mia, who's on the show, she likes every team going. If a Swedish player goes to Everton, she likes Everton. Chelsea, she likes Chelsea, and I couldn't understand that because obviously we've got our eye on Amy Turner and Ebony Salmon over in the US, and you know we don't necessarily support the team. We watch our old players, and so I can kind of understand that, I guess. But yeah, I think it's massive. You know, especially obviously in Norway, we've got a lot of Norwegian fans, haven't we? And
well, when we went over to Norway, it was great. It was great, just the love and everything, and then obviously Ollie, Norway. But yeah, I feel it. I know the love's there. Well, everyone comes over every weekend to watch as well, so
yeah.
Great.
There was a comment, and I've lost it now, but talking about Sam Kerr potentially leaving Chelsea. So we'll obviously talk a little bit about Chelsea and the potential of her going there. And I can see that. I mentioned to Karen a few days ago the fact that Sam Kerr could potentially leave. But then, is that why LJ was there? Maybe was LJ brought in to be a replacement? Not necessarily at that level just yet, but again, come in for a season, settle down, find a feet, learn the club, and then maybe take that, you know, a bit more of a starting 11 role. But Amanda, what are your thoughts on potentially Blackstenius ending up with the champions?
Wow, I want to say that I don't really see where she could fit in, even if Sam Kerr leaves.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's such a big club. I don't know if she would get the like. I don't know if Emma Hayes would put her in or trust her. You know, it's taken a long time with Jessie Fleming, who's a world-class player. You know, she doesn't get much playing time, and she was massive for Canada in the Olympics, and she's been massive for Canada. So I think, I don't know. I feel like depending on her conversations with teammates and with the club, it all depends really. You know, if she has a good conversation with Emma Hayes or some of her national team teammates, you know, then she might go there. Right now I would say that no, Chelsea's not an option.
That's good. So Arsenal possibly. Arsenal scares me, but not Chelsea. I'm happy with that. But like you did mention, Amanda, there are 3 other Swedish players there and Pernille Harder as well. So you know, if you're looking at relationships, then obviously she would have those relationships. But I mean, Nat, I mean, how would you kind of look at that? Just because there's fellow nationalities there, it doesn't mean that, I need to. There's other things that's more important, I guess, and being in the starting 11 might be more important than having 3 Swedish mates there.
And I mean, I think, Beth England's not even getting in and she's scoring goals. And then, like you say, it's a big rotation. There's talk like Pernille Harder's not even playing where she wants to. LJ's come in, not had any game time. I do see, even though I'd agree with Vicky, LJ's not a striker, but I think when she played for us, she was down the centre kind of thing. So whether she replaces Sam Kerr, no, I don't think that's going to be like a direct replacement, but they'll be moulding her in some kind of way, hopeful that she overcomes any issues and then plays. Because, she won't be going there thinking, I'm happy on the bench either. She was playing week in, week out for Man United, and she's gone home. She's with Reece and that, but she needs to play, especially if she wants to get in England and this and that. So,
there's 25 people watching, so please hit the thumbs up if you are new to the channel as well. Subscribe. Like I say, 25 people watching live is really good. So thank you very much. Put some comments in, and we'll answer some questions for you if you've got the time, which I'm sure that we will. Just sticking with Chelsea for the time being, then a chance just for you to kind of shout out a few of the Swedish players, because there are a few. Anderson and Eriksson at the back. How well do you think that they're doing so far, not just this season, but with Chelsea as a whole?
Sorry, one more time.
Anderson and Eriksson, how well they're doing at the moment for Chelsea.
Who's the third one as well? Sorry,
Dachida Musovic.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know.
Yeah, she's on the bench. Unfortunately, she's a great goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I think, Eriksson, she's the captain for a reason, right? She's a world-class player in every aspect. You want to see her play. You want to see her play. You want to see her do what she does best. I can't confident, with confidence, I can say I haven't seen a lot of Chelsea games, but I did see her backheel goal the other day. I was live reporting that. So you look at her and she's up there. She fights for, she's like offensive, and then she goes back with like the defense. So she's attacking. She's an attacking back, I would say, and she does great in that.
Who are the kind of standout names, like back home where you are in Sweden, when as fans or journalists you look at the WSL and some of the Swedish players that are over here and other Scandinavians, who are the ones that are talked about the most? And are they talked about because of the club that they're at, or I just wonder what it's like over where you are?
So from my perspective, I've seen that we kind of cover certain players in different leagues more than others. Obviously, Magda and Jonna Andersson are players that we look out for when it comes to Chelsea. So we kind of follow team by team. And since I work for public service, we're supposed to cover everything kind of that has to do with Swedish players and whatnot. So if Kosovare Stani does something good for Real Madrid, she's a hard player to get a hold of over here in Sweden. So she's definitely one of the people that you want to talk to. So you want to talk to everyone, really, especially where I work. If did I answer your question?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sorry, I was just listening. Sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We'll talk a bit about City and Everton, and then maybe some Swedish players who are still in Sweden who maybe haven't had their big break yet. So players who could potentially hit the WSL in the near future. But so Man City is the other team that always seems to pick us to the post. Bunny Shaw obviously went there, and we know Natalie more than anyone was a big fan of Bunny. She ended up going to City, presumably for Champions League football. That didn't quite work out very well, but yeah. So just your thoughts on Blackstenius maybe going to the blue side of Manchester.
Huge possibility, right? She's played with Philip Angeldal, and they're great. I think they're friends. I don't know really. So they've played together this whole season. They play well on the national team. If they can make that combination work for City, I think it would be a great fit.
Yeah. It's just what we don't need, though, isn't it, Nat? I mean, we're trying to close the gap, and we know that Chelsea are ahead of us. Going into the end of last season, Arsenal was only 1 point ahead of us. But then obviously Arsenal obviously done well in the summer. And they're like kind of, I wouldn't say they're going further away from us. I'm not going to say that, but it's going to be harder for us to catch them, obviously, with the signings that potentially they made over the summer. And now City, obviously, the defence isn't as strong, but the attack is. Go on, Nat.
So it's one of them with City, and I see Vicky's comment. They don't need 3 strikers. They're not going to be in as many competitions. I don't know if she'll get as much game time. I'm sure she'll be promised it, but whether it comes about, we're in talks of bus stops, people being upset. I don't know if it'll play a part. Amanda, just what you think. You know, as Lani went there, will that play a part? Will she speak to how that went, or because I know different people say different things.
I don't think that's. I mean, it feels like Asllani was there ages ago. So I don't think that really. I think it's a whole different club right now than it was before. So I don't think. I think she would probably listen more to what Philippa has to say whenever they meet up again. You know, when it's gone a couple of months. I think that's probably who she'll turn to.
Yeah. But yeah, go on, John.
No, I was going to say, is it just the one Swedish player that plays at Man City? Is it just the one? Because as far as I'm aware, from what I can remember, it's just one. But there's so many that I probably don't even know of. I'm not too sure. But is it just like the one goalkeeper? Is that correct?
For City, no. It's she's a forward, I think, or midfielder, Philippa Angeldal.
Okay, I need to look at that one because I wasn't too sure on Man City, but not many jumped into my head. Whereas obviously Chelsea and Arsenal, obviously there's quite a few there. Just touching on City. I mean, people in the comments are saying it as well. Are City just like a club that's just going to buy? Because let's be honest, if Blackstenius comes up, someone mentioned it in the comments that we need a winger more than a striker. I agree. I do think it's more important that we get a backup winger or even maybe a first starting 11 winger. But when a player like Blackstenius comes up, you've just got to get him, haven't you? And do you think that's what Man City might do, Nat?
Yeah, and in terms of us signing a winger and not a striker, from what I've seen recently, he's playing Alessio on the wing. I don't like it. Yeah, I don't like it. I'll sit there and say I don't like it. But if that's the way that they're going, then you'll see Alessio on the wing. Whether they're just doing that while they wait for someone to come in, I don't know. There's other wingers, the Spanish winger, even Navarro, that I really like. But if he does say convert, I've heard other journalists talking about Alessio on the wing. So if he puts Alessio on the wing, then you do need a number 9. And I wouldn't want to see. I prefer Tooney as a 10, but I think with Mark, I don't even know where he's going. I don't know where he's going game to game, day by day, week by week. I don't know, and that's not an insult on him. I think it's good to be that way as a manager. No one knows what you're going to do. I think with Casey, we knew, bang, this is how she plays. She plays 4-3-3, and Rita probably talked to Casey. This is how you're going to fit in. I'm going to play 8, whatever. Whereas this, I just don't know what he's thinking, what he wants to do. He changes it. Rita started versus Reading, and I think she played really well. I think she played really well throughout the whole pre-season. But then obviously when he's changed it up because of the way that Leicester played, and they play a bit more like direct. So he put I can't remember who he put Stanley and Jackie, and I think versus Chelsea he might go back to Risa, So I don't know what his thoughts are now, and it's a weird position we're in as United fans because we actually are just like, what's going to happen? So obviously when we were all crying out for something, any striker, and then obviously the window closed and this article came up, like literally as soon as the window closed, this article came up, and whether it's because they saw the clamour that United fans were and just thought, we'll put Manchester United, bang, that's going to get a lot of clicks, or there is something in it, and they did try and get her, but they couldn't get her when they wanted her, and January is going to be the time, and maybe they've put it out to sort of get people to talk about it and get her to see what the reaction would be. I think, this lady could tell her what the reaction would be in terms of that. But I don't know. It'd be good to see where she goes. And I think it would be a statement if we did sign and say like you're Arsenal, you sit here after that's a statement. No, we are serious, you know, and we do want to do this. We want to be in the Champions League. We want to win trophies.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's exciting as well. By the way, the fact that we can't name the starting 11, or even if we can name the starting 11, we don't actually know where they'll be on the pitch. And I think, you know, that's very, if us fans who, you know, talk about our team every day and watch every game, if we can't figure it out, then our rivals probably can't figure it out either, can they? So it is exciting, but I would like to see see experts in each role. So, you know, for example, Russo, if she's an expert as a number 9, then she needs to stay there. I guess that, but throughout the game, it's good to see them transitioning and moving around. Just before we move on to Everton, Amanda, Natalie just mentioned Skinner there coming in as the Man United head coach. What were your thoughts on that appointment over the summer?
Don't worry, just say what you thought. If you thought, I don't know, you can be I don't know.
We were the same. We were like this at the time.
It's an I don't know. As I said before, I follow so many games at the same time. I barely get to follow the game, which is unfortunate. You know, that really sucks. I write my articles and then I watch on my spare time. So I work most weekends. So I honestly I can't say anything about Skinner, unfortunately.
He started off really well anyway for us. That's the main thing, and hopefully we'll get to see a lot of Boavista in the starting 11 because, you know, back in January we was all on this Boavista train, and obviously she didn't join us until the summer, but we're definitely looking forward to seeing more of Boavista, and we've got a fantastic song as well. So if you're going to watch the BBC over on Sunday, I'm sure you'll hear the Boavista song. So yeah, absolutely. We'll move on to Everton then. Everton's got a lot of hype. Natalie,
here's my thing. Everton, Willie Kirk, my guy. And I'm guessing Everton got a lot of coverage from you, Amanda, because they signed Natalie Pujol. I'm sorry if I'm saying these names wrong. Anna Avogard and Hannah Bennison. Yeah. And Anna was one that I was very interested in. I thought, you know, someone who I'd heard about since 2018, very good striker. I know she got injured. But they've come in, and for me, back-to-back 4-0 defeats. And I know, you know, they're not playing small teams, but I think even the City one, City have a lot of injuries. Spurs have gone out and beat City and made it a bit of a competition. Whereas Everton, you know, Natalie was playing and they just got rolled over. And for me, I talked to Mia and she said, Natalie is very good. Natalie is someone who you want. And then I'm not saying I know, and it takes time to settle, but I feel like maybe these players are very good, but then the players around them aren't as very good. And then you see what you see over the last 2 weekends. So I just want to hear like your opinions on the 3 players. What do you think they're going to do? Obviously, Willie Kirk talking about we want to win the league. These players have won trophies before. But I can't see Everton getting anywhere near it, to be honest. So what do you think that's going to change opinions of anyone? Do you think anyone will look to, maybe not leave straight away, but is this a stepping stone for them to a bigger club? I really don't answer that final one.
I mean, when you look at Natalie Bjorn, you know, she's been part of the national team for a long time, and she's one of the future players that you're going to look out for in the future, maybe probably even a future captain. That's how great she is. That's how good she is. She fights for a starting spot for the national team. And she's going to have that starting spot if she continues on grinding like she has and performs on this level as she has been doing. But I think when it comes to Everton as a whole, because their game I actually covered, so I was watching it. And when you look at it, I think they've hyped it up so much. And they brought in all these great players. They brought in the Rosengard trio. That was a whole thing here in Sweden. And they've hyped it up. But you also got to keep in mind that Hannah hasn't started a game. She barely started for Rosengard, and now she's a key player for Everton. You look at Anna, who comes off an injury too long ago. So you're looking at all these players. Really, the one that's been getting a lot of playing time is Natalie. And really, what Everton has done is they've brought in the Swedish players that have performed so well in tournaments and in their own league. But when it comes to Everton, I think it's a whole new environment, and you look at it, it's so hyped up, and it's kind of anything that's not 3 points is kind of a disappointment because you would expect so much from this team with these new players. But at the same time, you look at it, there's 11 players on the field. It's not 3 players, it's 11. So everybody has to do their part. And if everybody can work around, I'm going to be cocky and say around the Swedish players, then they're going to perform.
I just want to touch on this because when we had Mia on a while back, and she did bring up Natalie, and she said she was a quality defender. And I think it was just before we signed Manny, and I thought, I'll have her, And then I look at, we've signed Aoife. She's come off an injury. She didn't play a lot at Man City. She's come in, but she's hit the ground running. Even if I look at Torres Dotti, she'd had a really poor from January onwards. But now she looks like a different player, and she looks like a warrior, a beast. And I know Natalie, and I know they all came in late because they're at the Olympics, and maybe you'll see a bit of time. But even watching it, this is just me, just watching a few little tiny bits. Yeah, so I'm not saying Natalie's about, but I just was underwhelmed a bit. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but I just was like, oh my God, like Mia says she's going to be this and that, and you're saying future captain, and I watched it. And I mean, yes, I don't think, the thingy came in and she already had on her. Maria had already, bedded in. And so she's coming in. So she had Mary behind who's been there a long time. Whereas, she's coming in as the best defender. There's already Millie Turner who'd been at Man United since 2018, helped to settle in. And maybe Natalie's not coming at it as that much. But then I look at it and I think, I wanted Natalie. But then I'm looking at Aoife and I'm thinking, actually, this is the girl that I want. And I know you're always going to feel that way for your team, but, do you think she'll then be an Everton captain then? Is that...
Depends on how long she stays for the team, right? I think when you speak about players like Natalie Bjorn and Philip Angeldal, you got to see their how much they've developed in the game. I mean, I've seen these players play since we were 10 years old. We live in the same city. We played for the same club. I'm a year older, so I've seen them play. And you look at, they won, I don't know if you guys heard about Gothia Cup, which is a Gothenburg Cup. It's quite good. People come from all over the world. They won that with their team, and then they go on to win the U19 Euros, and they get silver medal for, I think this is their first Olympics. Could be Natalie's second. I'm not completely confident in which Olympics this is for her. But they come in and they take medals, and these are players that want to win and they want to develop. Natalie's one of those people. She's been winning since she was 10 years old. She's been winning. She's not used to losing.
Why Everton then? If she wants to win, why Everton? Because for me, that doesn't make sense then.
Maybe they got. I can't speak for her, but I mean, I think if you see it from this perspective, perhaps they were promised something that's maybe not achievable. I don't know. I know nothing about her signing or the contract that she signed or how the conversation went. So this is all speculation from my side. But it could really be anything. You want to come to a new league, and you want to develop, and you're getting playing time.
Stepping stone. That's what I think.
On paper, yeah, it could be that. Yeah, on paper, Everton, 5th or 6th best club in the WSL. You can see that they wanted to push the Champions League, so I can kind of see it as a bit of a excitement for a player if they know that they're not going to get into a top 3 team. I can see why you'd join Everton to kind of break into that top 3. However, you wouldn't choose Everton over United, I would have thought. So that's kind of what confuses me. But
well, then I just want to talk to Amanda. Then there was talk that Man United were in for Anna Evergaard. I don't know how much you know, or if you did hear that. No, or
nothing.
If you can say.
I heard nothing about it. The whole thing was the Rosengard trio going to Everton. It was a whole thing here in Sweden that all 3 of them were going to go there.
Because there was one journalist in England who said Man United were interested, and whether he's just said that or he knew that, I don't know.
I mean, I could see any team around the world being interested. They're world-class players, so I don't see why not, really.
Yeah, no, and Anna was always one that I think a lot of fans talked about, but sorry. But then we didn't, and we needed a striker, so I thought, makes sense. But then Casey went in for Martha very early, in the January. So I don't know when Anna started talking to Everton, whether it was late or early, but I'm guessing probably around January, if that's the time when your league ends kind of thing, or, January, February.
Yeah. Doesn't it? I think our league ends in November, does it not?
November.
I think so. November 6th, I think, is the last round.
November 6th. So, in the winter, that's when the discussion started about joining for summer. So I know, like, Stu would probably know more, but, like, that's when it sort of hinted that she was discussing with, what's her face? Martha Thomas. But then whether Anna thought, because then this is the way that English journalists have played it, that because then Casey left, Anna decided no. So I don't know. But if you're saying no, it was always Everton, then that's and obviously you're coming in from your side.
That's all I heard, really. I never heard anything about any other club, but I might have missed the conversation or the whole thing. So I don't know.
It's interesting. Because that's yeah.
I was going to say I am excited about January, even if the deal isn't over the line in January, or even if the players doesn't arrive to us in January. I do think certain talks would have started by now, even. And we hear Mark Skinner say that there's plans in place for transfer windows 2 or 3 down the line, if not longer. Surely this has to be a name that if we are interested in a striker, surely this name would have come up. And maybe it's a plan for next season or this summer or this winter, and that's why it's not being done already. That's all I can think of.
I mean, that's why I'm. I mean, I don't know if Amanda wants to go more, but that's why I'm. And I know she said, that's why we're all. The minute that Blackstenius name came out, bang, because it was the same with Bo Risa. Her name came out, and we knew it was done. But I think it was pretty much done when the story first came out about Risa. And she was a massive Man United fan, and it was the dream Man United. And whereas this one, it seems a bit, she's got the options and she's going to explore. But I think Man United fans were just anxious that we're not in the chat. Why are we not in the chat? Why are we not in the chat for Benison? Why are we not in the chat for this? So now we're in the mix. I think it puts a lot of things at ease. Amanda, I just want to hit you with a question, because we have a lot of journalists on, and a lot of people say, I'm not going to write a story. And Rich Laverty, I don't know how well you know him, but he's sort of a journalist who sort of says, if I hear about it. Do you think we're going to start seeing transfer windows like the women, like they are with the men, and people tweeting about it every day, and here we go, and Fabio Romano and all that kind of hype? Or do you think, no, it's just going to be like the way it is now?
I think possibly maybe in a couple of years. Maybe not like this one. I've seen who's that guy? There's this one guy that tweets a lot about transfer windows. He tweeted before Angildor was presented, and so I think we might see a little bit more than we've seen a couple of years ago. But at the same time, I don't think so. For the women's football game, I think the hype needs to get a bit better in order for that to fly on social media, or for newspapers to find it worthy. Yeah.
Just before we finish the show, just your thoughts, Amanda, on any players that's playing in Sweden or a country close to home for yourself, who hasn't come into the WSL yet, or some rising stars of the future. Is there anyone that you think me and Nat and the rest of the United fan base should keep an eye on at all?
You have a really good player for AIK. I don't know. Can I write it in the chat? I can't.
Yeah.
Because I'm not on YouTube. But it's
right in the chat, and then we'll put it on the main.
Across, yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. Her name is Rosa Kafaji. She grew up playing football in her apartment complex is where she used to play. So she's really good. Definitely one to look out for. You also have one for FC Rosengard, a club you guys are probably familiar with. She's a new signing. Comes over here. Her name is Loretta Kulashi. She plays for the under, I think, U23 or U20 team over here in Sweden, national team. Really good player. And last but not least, I think she came in, had her debut for FC Rosengard, and scored on her debut. She's 16 years old and incredible.
There we go. I'll put indulged in the comments.
So those are my 3 players to look out for.
So the last one that you just mentioned is a striker. Then I'm guessing. What did you say the other positions were for the first 2 players?
They're all up top.
Oh, well, okay.
All up top.
Go for it, guys. You know what to do.
Get the
following
hashtag.
them. Get
the
the hashtags. Get the videos on the timeline. Let's see them.
Rosa is really somebody you would want on your team. She's creative, she's fast, and she's good with the ball. She scores goals too.
Awesome.
That's the one.
We'll end the show there. Amanda, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I hope it's been okay for you. People in the comments, you can see how excited they are that you've come on. So thank you very much. We've had constantly between 20 and 30 people watching live. So that's really good. So thank you very much. Amanda, do you want to shout out all your socials and your podcasts or anything that you want to promote at all?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys for having me, first and foremost. It's been really fun. You guys are going to want to follow their pitch. We have some interesting things going on and some interesting players that you guys may or may not enjoy, some more than others, when we release our episodes.
Big ones.
Very big.
Do you have some inside information that I don't know of?
Oh, I can't say anything.
You can DM me on Twitter after this.
Good
But
ones.
so their pitch on Twitter, and I think it's their_pitch on Instagram. Let me put it all in the chat before you guys leave. My Twitter is let's do podcast.
I'll put one a scrolling message along the bottom of the screen, so I'll put that one on there.
Yes. Oh, I don't have. You know what? I don't have an. Okay. So this is all Twitter then. Their pitch, and for Instagram. Oh, text. They're under. I think it's this. I think that's it. It's all very new to me.
That's okay. We can copy that in. people can find you anyway through Author United WFC. So so if they can't find you through here, which I was going to put on screen right now, they can still find us. We've tagged you all day anyway, so I'm sure as long as it's on yours, that they'll be able to find you. But yeah, please check it out, guys, because we get all our information, and I know you guys in the comments do exactly what me and Natalie do. We talk to people all over Europe and the world to try and get information, and this is the way it works, and it's fantastic to see. Plan for the rest of the week. So I'm back tomorrow on the Friday Night Fan Forum. So there'll be a few of us there. Saturday night, as always, Ben and Matt will be doing a Saturday Night Live, and then match day content on Sunday. Natalie, we haven't given a prediction. Is it time to do that now?
2-1 Man United. Let's go.
You stole my thunder a little bit.
2-1
I usually go for a draw, but I genuinely think that I think we'll be up against the ropes. I'm not going to say we're going to win 2-1 easily.
Yeah. And it'd be interesting if Chelsea go up first, how we respond.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'll take a 0-0 and I'll be happy. So I don't mind. I'm happy.
I'd happily take a draw.
Yeah.
Well, if you say 2-1, I don't think we'll score 3, but maybe a 2-1 or a 2-2 then 2-1, 2-2. But yeah, that's not a bad one. As long as we go 2-0 up, because at least we can enjoy the game then. Do you want to give a prediction on Man United versus Chelsea, Amanda, before you go?
Oof.
Skip that one, Amanda. Don't worry. No, go on.
Yeah, no comment. I'm not going to say anything.
We understand.
It's just I usually live report for national teams and stuff like that on SVT Sport, and there's always the same people that come in to chat with you. So whenever they come in to chat with me, they're like, don't give your predictions because you suck. And I'm like, I'm not going to give my predictions.
Yeah.
So stop doing that.
We're going to go, guys. Thank you, Nat. Thank you, Amanda. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you, guys.